XR500. This first part here, I was able to pull that flywheel off of the Ferryman diesel. And that was a challenge to get that off, but basically what I was looking for behind there was some sort of a stator or something. These engines I got didn't come with one. And I believe Ferryman is owned by Briggs & Stratton. Can't recall exactly, but somehow I found out that the stators that are compatible with these Ferryman 43F diesels are similar, if not the same, as a Briggs & Stratton stator. So there it is. You can see there's 4 bolt holes that hold the stator in place on the Briggs & Stratton motor, and they line up with 4 cast-in bosses on that bearing plate there. On this engine though, they are not drilled and tapped, so that's something I'm going to have to do. Now this stator is typically for a 12 volt application. I'm going to be trying to charge 24 volts since that's what the starter is on this engine. So potentially there'll be enough voltage there I can just use a 24 volt regulator instead of a 12 volt. But you notice the size difference between that diesel flywheel and the Briggs & Stratton flywheel. It's pretty incredible. So here I've got the main shaft chucked up on my closet lathe. And that's the main shaft for the Harley Ultima 6-speed transmission. So I got the 6-speed transmission completely new. You saw in a previous episode I chopped the starter flange off the housing, and I tore it all apart to get this main shaft out so I can cut it down. It's a spline unit that the Harley clutch typically goes on. I'm just cutting it down so it's a more narrow transmission. I want it narrow so that the foot pegs can be narrow since it's somewhat of a big height. I don't want it wide as a Harley. What I'm doing is I'm trying to part off the spline section of this shaft. And once I got down a little ways, it's really started to chatter. Isn't enjoyable. And there's strain on the machine, so here I'm just trying to sharpen up that bit. And eventually I just end up getting up with the hardening tool. Let's see. Hardening the outside. Center would be softer, but for some reason once I got close to the center it was just pretty difficult. Now that shaft is hollow. What happens is there's a kind of a push rod that runs through that shaft which engages or disengages the Harley clutch. So here you see I kind of give up parting this off with the lathe, and I use good old abrasives. To finish cutting this off. what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to put a different bit in there and just turn that shaft on smooth and chamfer the edges. See in the background there on the ground to my left in the video is another one of those Ferryman single cylinder engines, same type that I'm using in this pipe. I was able to buy, I think, 3 of them off of the military surplus site for a pretty decent price. I think I paid $600 a piece, $500 or $600 a piece. I can't remember if that included freight or not. They're not that common of an engine. I think their main application was for the military use as a generator. Typically ferrymans were used for marine use, so they've got a lot of water-cooled engines, but they're not terribly common in the center of the United States. On the coast areas you might find some. From marine applications, they're probably more common in Europe as well. A good air-cooled engine, if you're looking to do a smaller motorcycle, would be the Yanmar versions. Either a legitimate Yanmar or a clone. You can still find them on eBay, although the EPA is really cracking down on smaller diesels for emissions reasons, which is absolutely retarded. Now, if you're looking to do a larger bike, you might consider some of the smaller liquid-cooled, more modern type engines, such as small Kubotas, small Yanmars. There used to be a few air-cooled multi-cylinder diesel engines that were being produced. I think there still are a few. Lamborghini made several. Deutz made a few, I believe. And those were air-cooled twins, but they're getting harder and harder to find. And Kohler bought out Lamborghini and discontinued a few of those engine series, and who knows, they might discontinue. I think they have one remaining air-cooled twin. I think the EPA is really making it difficult for companies to sell air-cooled diesels anymore. So here I've got this slug that I turned down on the lathe as well, and I'm putting some Loctite on there, and I'm going to shove it in the end of that shaft where that clutch rod went through. Otherwise, if I didn't do this, then transmission oil would spew out of the end of there. So.
Hey Pandora listeners, Ideal Image
turning it around, making sure there's some good
Laser hair removal. They are the best.
Loctite all
Over
over
3
the
million
place.
treatments performed nationwide. Call 1-800-BE-IDEAL or tap on the banner to schedule your free consultation today.
Yeah, one of the real challenges of diesel bikes is if we mount them horizontally, or I'm sorry, if we mount them transverse to the bike frame, the shaft sticks out so far on your left foot side, and then you got to try to attach it to the transmission somehow, so it really, without having a massive primary case, probably even bigger than a Harley, it just makes your bike really wide, which is something that I like to avoid with my bikes. That's a difficulty. One option is to mount engines in line with the frame, similar to how some BMWs are on Moto Guzzi's. To do that, you've got to really have a transmission that's in line with the frame. Like I mentioned in Moto Guzzi's, BMWs, the Honda CX motorcycles had inline transmissions. Trying to think what else. Urals are inline. So some people have done that where you fab up a custom bell housing to mount the diesel engine to these inline transmissions, and then they go back to a bevel gear or a final drive to the rear tires. The issues with these drivetrains for a bike that you're trying to build to have decent top end speed is the gearing. Diesels have very low RPMs, high torque. They don't rev out as high as gas engines, especially motorcycle gas engines. So it really limits you on your top end as far as top speed. Most diesels aren't too happy above 3,600 RPM. This Ferryman engine, since it's a longer stroke engine, it's actually not happy over 3,000, I think, is its red line. So it's a real slower speed diesel engine. So right now what I've been doing is I've got that main shaft that I cut off, Loctited that slug in there, and then I just cut in a keyway. And that's the V-belt pulley that I'm test fitting there. And I'm just measuring the keyway. Don't want to cut too much. I used a dividing head there just to mount the shaft in. And it's just a 1/2 inch V-belt pulley there that I'm using. This is more or less just a temporary setup. I had very limited time since this was a challenge to get this thing going by July 1st. I was really pushing it, and this was a quick way to transfer power from the clutch to the input shaft on the transmission. Because the clutch I used had a 1/2 inch V-belt on it already, so I found this pulley which had the same diameter as that shaft, and then I just cut that keyed keyway in there, as you can see right there. So that's it for part 9. Please comment, rate, and subscribe. Thanks.